We're now in a new section in our Revit Structure Advanced course. We're going to look at creating trusses, and I've got a blank Revit project available to start doing that. You can see at the top of the screen, it's called Training, Revit Structure Advanced, Creating Trusses.rvt. You will find that in your working files, either on your DVD or in your downloaded files if you downloaded this course. So what is a truss? What does it do? A truss is comprised of one or more triangular sections. Now, when I say sections, I mean areas of a frame, not actual steelwork sections like a beam or a column. However, it is made up from steel beams. These sections are constructed with structural members, and these ends are connected at joints, which are referred to in Revit as nodes. And as forces act on these nodes, the triangular shape of the truss provides that structural stability to stop the truss from bending. A truss is sometimes compared to a structural beam for design consideration. In a truss, though, the lower horizontal member is known as the bottom chord, and the upper horizontal member or members is known as the top chord or chords. These chords fulfill the same function as a top and bottom flange of a structural beam. So while the beam has a continuous plate separating those two flanges, a truss has what they call a web, which consists of a series of separate members, and these members follow diagonal and vertical directions to form that truss web, which is what takes on board the loading and makes the truss stable. Now, Revit Structure itself has a really big truss family library that can be loaded into a project. So what I could do here is I could load a family if I wanted to. I could go up to Insert and go to Load Family here. I can load up a truss family. So if I go in here, I'm not going to use the UK ones. I'm going to go up a level and use US Imperial because I've got an Imperial Revit project. So if I go in here now and scroll down, you'll find structural trusses, and you will find a lot of them. These are all default ones, so you've got gabled trusses, you've got flat trusses, and so on. There's Warren trusses, scissor trusses, and so on and so forth. I'm going to put in a Howe flat truss. So you can see there, rectangular shape. I'll click on Open, and that loads that family in. So that goes into my Revit project. Now, once that's loaded up, obviously Revit will want me to draw a truss. So what we'll do is we'll make sure that when we draw one, we're on level 2. You don't want to put your trusses on your floor level. You wouldn't normally do that. So you go to your Structure tab, go to Truss here like so, and you'll see there's my Howe flat truss in the properties there, and it's prompting me now to draw that, and I can use the line tool or pick a line. I might pick, for example, a grid line to place my truss along. So I'm just going to click roughly here in the center in the drawing area. And as I drag, there's my lines there. And what I'll do is I'll just follow that horizontally to about there and click. And there's my truss. Now it's loading up the truss as we go. So that's done. So if I hit escape a couple of times now, my truss is there. If I click on it, you'll see in the properties there, I've got a Howe flat truss. Start level offset, end level offset, all the sort of things that you need are in your properties palette right there. Let's go now and look at the south elevation. So there's the south elevation marker there, looking up towards the truss. So if I go south there, there's my truss at level 2, and you can see how a truss is now formed. Those blue bits at the end are the nodes, where I can drag the ends and make the truss longer or shorter. If I click on the truss, you can see it's all formed of vertical and diagonal members, like so. So what I can do there is hit escape just to deselect that. So there's my bottom chord, there's my top chord, and here's my web vertically and horizontally going along between the chords. So that's how you place a truss in your Revit Structure project, and that's the basic concepts of trusses. What we'll look at as we go through this section is how we can create our own trusses, using truss families, and also how we bring trusses into a Revit Structure project.